Hello, it is I once again, Jordan, aka Def Cos. I am here today to do a reread review of volume 24 of One Piece. There's a reflection on it. I'm a One Piece fanboy extraordinaire, by the way. Um, so I finally got this volume. I ordered it 2 weeks ago, um, and the place I initially ordered it from, there was I don't know what happened, but the 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 post office didn't deliver it, and then they sent it back to the sender, and then instead of sending it again, they just canceled the shipment and just refunded me my money, which kind of works out in a way. I mean, it sucks that I had to wait so long, but I ended up paying, like, when I initially ordered the volume 2 weeks ago, it costed me like $25 because the volume for some reason was like $16. Then there was the taxes and fees and whatnot, and so it ended up being like over $25. So I was fine with it. I mean, it was expensive, but I was fine with it because I was like, I want to read One Piece, so I'll pay it. But then I was able to order it for $11. Once they canceled the shipment that didn't get delivered, I just reordered it and it came the next day. It literally came, like I ordered it yesterday, it came today, uh, and it was a cheaper volume. So I don't know why there was that price difference. I looked the first time. I didn't understand why it was so expensive the first time, so I looked for like normally priced uh, volume 24, and I couldn't find one, but I found one yesterday. So it took a while, it took a little bit, but I got my volume, and I didn't have to pay that much for it. So let's do the reread review without further ado. So I ran out of post-it notes. I thought I had some more, but I can't find them. So I'm back to using Magic the Gathering cards to indicate where I want, the parts of the volume that I want to talk about. But I'm gonna order some post-it notes, and I'll be back to post-it notes soon. But all right. So let's read the foreword as usual. This is a short one. It says, "When I visited my family recently, my parents expressed an opinion about One Piece for the very first time. That story about the deer was really good." Deer? That's it. So apparently they like the Drum Island arc with Chopper. All right. So here we go. All right. So we pick up where we left off. Oh yeah. So I actually, this is funny. I used to own a Japanese Shonen Jump book, like a volume of Shonen Jump. I forget how I got it. But I owned a Japanese volume of Shonen Jump, and this was actually the chapter of One Piece that was in that volume. The first chapter of volume 24 was was the chapter of One Piece that was in that volume of Shonen Jump that I used to own. I probably still have it in storage somewhere. But anyway, this is what I was talking about. I guess it was last video I did. It's been a while since I made a reread video. But how Hina uses her powers. She like wraps her arm around the guy and then separates her arm. Apparently, she has the bind fruit. But again, I feel like we don't see Hina very often. I can't think of another instance that she uses her powers. Maybe I'm just forgetting, which I mean, I've forgotten a lot as I keep saying. But I can't recall another instance where Hina uses her powers in One Piece besides this right here. Um, but yeah, so we get the this is kind of the final conclusion of the Alabasta arc right here. We get to see the Alabasta people being happy that everything is taken care of and they're free, and then we get Chaka, who's at a grave site, and he's saying, I can't believe you're gone, talking about Pell. He's like, Pell, I can't believe you're gone. And then he's like, I can't even shed a tear. And then Vivi's on Karu, and she's watching the Straw Hats sail away. And then we get a scene where there's a doctor who's talking to. We don't see who he's talking to, but he's saying, "All right, thanks for everything. When you get home, get lots of rest." And then he says, "Hey, wait, you forgot your headscarf." And it's Pell's headscarf. So I'm wondering, is this the only time we see Pell again, or like we get the indication that Pell isn't dead? Because I don't remember if he shows up again later. But is this the only scene where we get a hint that Pell actually is still alive? I wonder if it is. I guess it is. Anyway. So yeah, Vivi goes back to Alubarna. Then we get a scene with Tashigi and Smoker, who are sailing away. They're looking at Luffy's new bounty and Zoro's bounty. And then they say, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of the Straw Hats another day." Then we cut to the Straw Hats, who are sailing away to their next destination. And then we get Nico Robin shows up. She shows up. She was on the ship. All the Straw Hats are like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing here?" And then Nico Robin says to Luffy, she says, "I suffered a great deal because of you. Now take responsibility." And then Luffy says, what do you want?" And then Robin says, "I want to join your crew." So yeah, so this is where Robin joins. This is it. And I guess this is the last time that. Well, no, not exactly. Um, I was gonna say this is the last time that a Straw Hat joins. Like, because at the beginning of One Piece, it's almost like each arc a new Straw Hat joins. And I was gonna say this is the last time that happens, but I guess Chopper joined. He didn't join during the Alabasta arc, but he joined during the Baroque Works saga. Um, and then I guess this is the end of the Baroque Works saga, or like it's the beginning of the Skypiea saga. Um, so I guess it doesn't really work out what I was just saying. But anyway, so Robin joins. Luffy agrees. We get a flashback to when they were in the mausoleum right after Luffy beat Crocodile, and Luffy saves King Cobra and Robin, and we actually get the a part here. And I was actually talking about this in the last volume when Robin was reading the poneglyph, and she told Crocodile that what the poneglyph said was just the history of Alabasta and didn't say anything about Pluton. And then Cobra says, "Why did you lie?" So that was actually the impression I got while I was reading it, is that she was lying. Maybe I kind of like vaguely in the back of my mind remembered that she was lying, and that's why I thought that. But while I was reading it, I was definitely, I even brought it up during the video. I was definitely like, I don't think she's telling the truth on that one. I think she's just telling that to Crocodile. It turns out that was the case. Oh yeah, and then she talks about the real poneglyph is what they call it in this. I think in the fan translation or in the original, like in the Japanese version, it's called the Rio poneglyph, but here they call it the Rio poneglyph, and it is the one poneglyph that recounts the true history, is what Nico Robin describes it as. Um, but she doesn't really go into much more detail than that. She just says that she was looking for it for 20 years, and since this one wasn't it, she kind of lost all hope. Like she was like, "Oh fuck it! Like I'm just gonna die here during like get crushed by the rubble because you know what's the point? Like I can't find the real poneglyph." But then Luffy picks Cobra up and picks her up, and then that's the end of the flashback. But we know what happens next. So yeah, so Luffy accepts, you know, Robin's request to join. Then let's see. Oh yeah, I put a card here just because I really like this sequence here, this drawing of Sanji, how he like dances over to Robin to give her food. That's the only reason I put the card there. I really like this panel a lot. I think it's a cool panel. Um, oh yeah, and then we get the big ship that falls from the sky. And they're like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why is there a giant galleon just falling from the sky?" And it crashes, you know, all around them. And then the log pose points up. Uh, and then Robin says, "Our log pose has been captured by a sky island." Um, it's funny. Robin kind of immediately is useful. Like she shows up. I mean, Robin is smart. You know, she's a smart character. Um, but as soon as she becomes a member of the crew, she immediately like uses her wits, her knowledge, her archaeology skills, like right off the bat. And we get a good example of that during this like these few pages here. She kind of takes charge a little bit. I mean, I guess she's the oldest. She's the oldest person on the ship at this point. I think she's 28 at this point, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, so they decide to dive after the ship. Oh yeah, they find the map of Skypiea. Um, and then they decide to like dive to recover any information they can because at this point they literally have no idea how to get to Skypiea. They see that the log post is pointing upward, um, but that's it. They don't know. They're like, okay, well, what do we do? What do we do now? Like the log post is pointing up, but we can't fly. So how are we gonna get up there? So this whole volume, pretty much, and I knew this before, but this is like how they're trying to like gather information to like get to Skypiea. They're like trying to figure out how the hell do we get to the sky. So this is so Luffy and Sanji and Zoro dive uh, to try and get any information they can from the ship that just fell from the sky and that's under them now in the ocean. And then we get the first appearance of Masira. I think that's how you say his name, Masira. And his whole deal is that he salvages ships. So the Straw Hats are like, oh yeah, we want to salvage the ship. And then he shows up and he's like, wait, I'm going to salvage that ship. So, so his whole ship, his whole crew, their whole point is to like salvage ships and get any, like, I guess, treasure that they can find. Um, oh yeah, I thought this was funny. Sanji is still smoking, even though he's in the barrel or whatever, like the to dive, the like diving suit that he's wearing. He still has a cigarette though. I thought that was funny. Um, oh yeah, I thought this was a cool sequence of pages here. It's just Luffy and Sanji and Zoro just like exploring the ship while they're diving down there, and we get a couple pages where there's no dialogue. It's just awesome drawings of them looking at like different artifacts um, in the ship. So I really like that sequence of pages. That was pretty cool. Okay, so Masira does his thing where he tries to salvage the ship. Then a Sea King shows up. Oh, he actually dives in after them. And a Sea King shows up and he punches it. Then he runs into Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Um, and they kind of have like a chat. Um, oh yeah, and then a giant turtle shows up, a giant Sea King, and eats the ship that they're in. The ship that they went to salvage, the turtle just eats it. Oh yeah, and then it becomes dark. It just becomes like, I guess, nighttime for no reason, even though it's like the middle of the day. I mean, there's a reason, I guess. We just don't really know what it is. And then Luffy just kind of falls from the sky. This part kind of confused me a little bit. I wasn't sure where Luffy came from, but he just kind of falls. He just kind of falls onto the ship, and then Zoro and Sanji do too. But I thought he was in the boat that got eaten by the turtle. So I'm not exactly sure where Luffy came from. Uh, yeah, that part kind of confused me a little bit. Maybe I guess they weren't in the ship. Um, oh yeah, and then we get this part, which is pretty cool. We see like the giant silhouettes of the Skypians, and I forget exactly what causes this, um, but it's some kind of like phenomenon that occurs. Like the Skypians are obviously in the sky, and I don't know exactly how it happens, but their shadow gets projected uh, onto the sea or whatever. So it looks like there's giant winged silhouettes in front of them, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And they all freak out and like leave at top speed. Uh, and then Masiro stays behind, but this is a pretty funny part here when they all kind of recap what happened during the day, and then Masira is the last one on this page here. Monsieur is the last one, and they all notice that he's still there, and they're just like, "Get lost!" and they kick him away. Um, so then they realize that they didn't get really any useful information from the deep sea dive that they did. But Robin actually stole a eternal pose from Masira's ship. Not quite sure when she did that, but at some point apparently she was able to steal an eternal pose from their ship, and it points to Jaya, which is an island that's not too far away, which is where Masira is from. Uh, so they decide, okay, we don't know what to do. We have no idea like how to get to the Sky Island from here. So let's just go to Jaya and like see what we can find out. If we can find out any information at all, uh, let's just go to Jaya and see what we can find. So they decide to go to Jaya. And then this is a cool part here. We get the introduction. Like basically, when they go to Jaya, they don't make it too apparent at first. I guess if you were reading this for the first time, you wouldn't necessarily realize who these characters are. I mean, I guess you would realize that they're probably gonna be like gonna play an important role just by the way they're drawn, and by the way Oda like puts them into the story. Like you can kind of tell that they're important characters, but we get the first appearance of the Blackbeard pirates. So that's Van Auger, the sniper, and he just sniped a couple of seagulls that fell into the Mary. So we get Van Auger, and I forget all the Blackbeard pirates' names, but I remember his name. The sniper is Van Auger. Then we get I forget his name. The wrestler guy. His name is escaping me right now. But he shows up too. See him right there at the top. Fuck, I forget his name. I think they say it in this volume too, actually. Then we cut to Bellamy, who is playing. I guess he's playing poker with this guy named Roshio. I had forgotten about Roshio. But Bellamy just like stabs his hand and starts beating him up. Um, oh, Burgess. Isn't it Jesus Burgess? I think that's his name. Uh, okay, so the Straw has to arrive at Jaya. Nami makes them promise not to fight anybody because apparently Jaya or like Mocktown, I think that's where they show up at. They show up at first is a town called Mocktown, and and apparently it's a pirate town, so they're known. It's known for like uh, you know all the pirates getting into fights and like ruckus and stuff like that. So Nami makes them promise not to fight anybody, and then they run into I think his name is Doc Q, the doctor of the Blackbeard pirates, who is always sick, which is hilarious that he's a doctor who's always sick, and his horse is sick too. I think his name is Doc Q, if I'm not mistaken. So they walk around Mocktown, kind of like exploring and stuff. They run into a hotel that the Bellamy pirates are like renting out. Then they go to a bar, and then they run into Blackbeard. We get the first appearance of Blackbeard. We don't know that it's Blackbeard at this point, but that's Blackbeard. And he immediately like doesn't get along with Luffy. And I was thinking like, shouldn't Ace have run into him like sooner? Because if Ace runs into Luffy and then leaves immediately, and then the whole Alabasta arc happens, and then Ace is gone. Ace left, And then right after that, the Straw Hats go to Jaya, and then they run into Blackbeard. So it's like, oh, well, what's Ace doing? Shouldn't he have gone to Jaya too? I mean, I don't know. I guess he took a different route or something. I mean, I guess he doesn't really know where to go. I don't know, but I feel like he probably should have run into him first, right? If he's like ahead of Luffy, guess not. Or maybe I'm just missing something. But then Bellamy shows up. Here we get a good shot of Bellamy. And at this point, everybody, even Luffy, still think that Luffy only has a $30 million bounty. They don't realize he has an $100 million bounty. But Bellamy hears that he has 30 million, and he like wants to know more. And so he goes to fight Luffy. And apparently he wanted to like recruit him into the Bellamy Pirates. So he wanted to like fight him and see what if he was strong. Uh, so yeah, so Bellamy starts like punching Luffy and like hitting Luffy, and Zoro puts his sword to his neck, and then Luffy's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, you guys want to fight? Then let's fight." And then Nami says, she just blurts out, "Does anybody know anything about the Sky Island? Like, does anybody know anything about it? Like, how to get there?" And then everybody just starts laughing. Everybody just like hears her say that and just like bursts into laughter. Um, and then Nami blushes. This kind of cute panel of Nami. Um, but then Bellamy goes on a speech where he says, "Oh yeah, like the Sky Island, like that's a bunch of bullshit." Like, and Luffy's just staring at him. And then he says, "Oh yeah," he just says, "Yeah, there's a knock upstream or whatever that blasts ships into the air, and then they fall down. And people a long time ago saw that and thought that it was falling from a sky island, but that there's no sky island. Like it's just a legend." And then he says like, "El Dorado, the Emerald City, the One Piece. It's all a bunch of bullshit, pretty much." And then Luffy's just staring at him, like not saying anything. And then Bellamy cracks a bottle over Luffy's head. And then Luffy just says to Zoro, he says, "Just don't fight him. Like no matter what, don't fight him." And this is reminiscent of the first chapter of One Piece when the Mountain Bandits were doing this a similar thing to Shanks. They were like hitting Shanks over the head with a bottle and like hitting him and taunting him and stuff. And Shanks was just like, "I'm not gonna waste my time on these mountain bandits." And this is pretty much the same thing, except now it's Luffy. Um, and it's pretty much as soon as Bellamy said like the One Piece is bullshit, uh, pretty like was Luffy was just like, um, "Don't fight them. Like they're not worth it." Pretty much. Uh, So they all keep hitting Zoro and Luffy and like spewing like beer in their face or whatever, like booze, and like beating the shit out of them. And then they just leave, and Luffy and Zoro are like, "Well, okay, whatever." Um, yeah, so they just leave, and then when they leave, they run into Blackbeard again, and then Blackbeard is like laughing. And he's not saying "zay ha ha ha" in this. He's just saying "ha ha ha." But he was impressed with how Luffy and Zoro handled that. He's like praising them. He's like, "Oh yeah, you don't need to fight with your fists to win to like be a winner." Um, like and he believes in Sky Island. He says, "Oh yeah, I hope you guys find the Sky Island." Um, and then there's this really memorable moment here where Blackbeard says, "People's dreams don't ever end." This is a really memorable moment right here. It's funny, like Blackbeard doesn't necessarily come off as a bad guy at this point, even though he is. We don't know his whole story. Um, but at this point, he comes off as kind of cool. Like he's kind of like a cool dude. And then he just walks away. Um, and Luffy doesn't say anything, and Zoro doesn't say anything either. Um, but I think they're understanding that those are all the Blackbeard pirates, because Nami says, "I wonder who he is," talking about Blackbeard, and then Luffy says, "It's not just one guy," and then Zoro says, "There's more than one." And so I guess they're talking about the whole crew, like the whole Blackbeard crew. And then we cut back to Usopp, who had stayed behind. Usopp, Chopper, and Sanji stayed behind on the Mary, and Usopp was fixing the ship. And here we get a kind of a preview of the Water 7 Enos Lobby arc, because Usopp says, "I'm not a carpenter." Like while he's like fixing the ship, he says, "I keep telling them I'm not a carpenter." So that implies that they need a carpenter. And then Sanji in the next panel says, "We should just get a new ship." So they're already thinking about getting a new ship. I mean, Usopp gets mad, but this is kind of like a prelude to the Water 7 arc. And it's rereading this. It's like so apparent that the Mary is getting damaged like really badly as they travel. Um, I don't think I grasped that fully when I read it the first time. But then Nami, Zoro, and Luffy come back to the ship. And then Robin comes back, and she bought new clothes, and she gets a map of Jaya. And then she mentions, "Oh, there's a dude named Mont Blanc Cricket that you guys should meet." Um, and then we meet Shoujo, Captain Shoujo. He shows up, and he's Masira's brother apparently, and he's also a pirate captain. Um, and he has this ability where his voice, like the sound waves of his voice, can like break shit. So it starts breaking the ship, his own ship, and the Mary. And then we cut back to Bellamy, and they're talking about how they're pretty much talking about Robin, how she showed up and asked about Cricket, and then Bellamy says, "Oh, tell me more about this Cricket. I'd like to meet this Cricket guy." And that is the end of Volume 24. All right, so I don't have Volume 25 yet. So if I can get it by Wednesday, I'll do another video on Wednesday. I don't know if I'll be able to get it by Wednesday, though. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be able to do it on Wednesday. I might have to wait till Tuesday because I get paid on Tuesday. I'm not going to get a ton of money, unfortunately. but I should have enough to order Volume 25. And it's funny, I actually used to own Volume 25, the Japanese version again. Like I said, I used to own some Japanese volumes. And Volume 25 was one of the volumes that I owned. So it'd be fun to reread that. Uh, but yeah, but I'll try and get it by Wednesday. And if I'm able to get it by Wednesday, I'll do another video on Wednesday. If not, it's gonna have to be next Sunday. But we are gonna be getting a new chapter of the manga, a brand new chapter on Thursday. They've been dropping on Thursday now, so on Thursday I'll be sure to do a chapter reaction video. Um, so yeah, if you indeed watch me talk about One Piece for more than a half an hour, thank you very much, and I will see you in the very near future. Have a good one.